Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm so excited because I finally went through my bookshelves and I pulled all of the books that I have not read, and this is going to be my TBR for 2026. Now, some of these may or may not already be on my Goodreads account. All of them have been in my possession for at least 6 months because most of them I bought before our RV trip this past summer. I really need to get through these books to determine if I even want to keep them or if I even like them. Some of them may not get finished. One or two of them I feel like I've started and then I've put them down for other reasons. So today we are going to go through my TBR for 2026. And then I'll check in later this year and we'll see how I'm doing, and we'll see if by the end of 2026 I've gotten through all these books, if I'm still working on them, or if we've moved on to other stuff. By the way, books are on my no-buy for 2026, so if I do get through all of these, the plan is to borrow from the local library. Let's get started. Okay, some of these books are fantasy, mystery, different kinds of categories like that. Romantasy, I'm a big fan of, but some of them are just on this list because they're classics. And this would be the biggest one, I think, is George Orwell's 1984. This was assigned to me in high school to read, and I definitely did not read it. I did the Spark Notes. I couldn't even tell you much of what it's about, which is so sad. So this is purely on here just for educational purposes, and I think this might be one of the few that is just on there because I want to read it because everybody else has read it. Next we have Current Creek Valley. I feel like this was one of the books I picked up at like a thrift store or something like that, so this one's just there because it's been on my shelf and it looked cute, and I probably read the back cover and determined I wanted to read it. Okay, this next one, Cry Wolf, looks really old. I'm assuming I picked it up again. Yeah, this says Seminole County Public Library, so I probably bought it from the library. Yeah, it doesn't have the tag that says like I owe it to the library, but I definitely bought it probably on their, you could buy it for like 50 cents kind of thing. Or I might have bought it when I lived in Orlando and I went past Bright Light Books. If you've never been to Bright Light Books, it's in Fern Park, Castleberry area. Great secondhand bookstore. They always have a ton of options outside that are on super discounted pricing. And then you can always exchange your books and get some money or credit. They'll give you more credit than cash, and you can buy new books from there too. So that's another way to recycle through them. Okay, next up on the list, I'm very excited about this one. This is called Wings of Starlight. And I think this was recommended on TikTok, pretty sure. And of course I went and purchased it right away. The cover looks absolutely gorgeous. And then I never picked it up. So that's one that I'm very excited about. Okay, next one. Book of the Month Club. I have probably at least a dozen books from Book of the Month that I wasn't able to keep up with because I was into other reading material. So I have a bunch of these where the spine says BOTM, and that's Book of the Month. And then this one is Babylonia, King's Fall, Queen's Rise. If you have read any of these, absolutely feel free to comment down below and let me know what you think. Next one is The Girl in the Mirror. Twin sisters, identical on the outside, dangerously different on the inside. This is also another Book of the Month. By the way, and not on this list, wasn't a Book of the Month, but I picked it up at an airport once. Verity, so good. Like, so good. Couldn't put it down on the whole plane ride. If you're into that kind of, this looks like a similar style. That's what made me think of it. Like horror, kind of murder and mystery, I guess. Another one. Everything We Didn't Say, another Book of the Month. I feel like I should count how many books of the month are in here. There's already 3. Oh boy. This next one, I asked Mike if it was his when I pulled it off the shelf because I don't remember buying it, and it's a Western, a John Gage Western, a Texas Lightning novel called The Hanging Party. This seems like I might DNF it because it feels more of my husband's alley. DNF, by the way, means did not finish. I very rarely DNF a book because I want to give it a shot. In fact, I almost DNF'd Throne of Glass. Pause right here. If somebody tells you to read Assassin's Blade 3rd, don't do it. Don't read it in publishing order. Don't read it 4th. Read it in order. So read Assassin's Blade first and then Throne of Glass. Hear me out. I read Throne of Glass first, and then I think I read the next one in the series, right? Because she published it 3rd. And so I read the first 2 and then went back and read these novellas that actually came out published 3rd. I almost DNF'd. It took until that 4th book after I finally read Assassin's Blade to actually be in love with the main character. Reading Throne of Glass first for me And you can feel free to skip this if you don't want any spoilers whatsoever. It's not going to be that big of a spoiler, but this is your chance. Skip it if you really don't want to know anything about the book. Her character in Throne of Glass seems so just like, oh, pretty dresses, nice hair, jewelry, fancy things. And I'm like, ew, what? I don't identify with this girl at all. Like, what has she been through? Assassin's Blade explains it all. And you should really read that first, in my opinion. Moving along. Sorry for that side tangent. Okay, Sarah Morgan, One Summer in Paris. This has a Target sticker I can't get off, but I definitely didn't buy it at Target. Again, color of the pages makes me think I purchased it secondhand. Again, maybe at Bright Light Books or something, but that's also on my list. Next two. I mean, these are, you know, gotta go as a pair. This is so funny. It starts with us and it ends with us. So we went to visit a couple of friends in Texas this summer, and my husband's friend, his wife, Lexa, has read these and watched the movies. And she was telling me the lore behind the actors that were in this movie, I guess. Like, she told me all this lore about the actors in the book. And then she kept trying to keep from spoiling what the book was about. So she was like trying to dance around it, and it was really hard. Anyway, really, I pointed out that I picked these up on our RV trip. Yeah, look, you can see it. I don't know if you could see that tag. It's like a thrift store. They were a couple bucks each. And so I have been meaning to read them, and yeah, picked them up, and that was it. Next up is another book of the month. We've got Not a Happy Family. So this is another probably mystery murder novel from Book of the Month. I love Book of the Month. Do not get me wrong. Would absolutely subscribe to them again. I actually purchased a 6-month membership for a friend of mine who likes to read. Let me know, Ellie, if you're liking that subscription. But yeah, if they want to sponsor this channel, I'll take it, because I do love them. They're great. I think it's awesome. They have different categories of books you can pick from, and you can pick one a month, and you get a credit. It's kind of like Audible or Kindle. If you don't want to use that credit for that month, you don't like the books, you can either buy something from a previous month, or you can just hold on to the credit and wait till next month. Okay, next one is The Last Party. At midnight, one of them is dead. By morning, all of them are suspects. This is, I definitely started this book, and you can see it because my bookmark is left in here. I remember the beginning of this book. And pardon me, because my dog's about to bark because the Amazon guy is outside. He's gone. It's FedEx. It's FedEx, Loki. Please. Please don't knock down my plant. Come on, get down. Get down. I vaguely remember the plot being yes, okay. There was this chick. I think her name is Fionn. But it's like a Scottish book, right? So Quim Coed is the name of the city. And Fionn, I'll put her name here, is the main character's name. So there's a lot of words in here that I was like, but it's been a while since I picked this book up. So I do want to know obviously, who murdered the man. I just posted this one on my TikTok recently because it just came in the mail. I found the fantasy author, her TikTok account. Her name is Erin Phillips. She does retelling stories of the Bible in fantasy novels, and they're closed door romances, so super clean, but really emotional. And so the other book she has is called A Crown of Chains, and I have it on my bookshelf right now. I read it last year. Phenomenal. That was a story about Esther. But it was a woman who was called to the king, and she became his wife, and she was part fairy, I think it is. So there's like a fantasy side to it. This one is, I think it's the story of Ruth. Yes. Follows a mother-in-law who resents her power, a bondage to a spirit who demands her blood. So this one is her second of these two standalone books. You don't have to read one to understand the other. But yeah, the first one was great. A Crown of Chains, I sobbed at some point because it does get emotional, and I thought it was going to be like, woohoo, happy ending, and it wasn't. Next one, and we've got another book of the month. I lost count, so I'll have to go back when I edit and let you know where we're at. Bittersweet. How sorrow and longing makes us whole. I think this is more of a self-help book. I don't think that one is a fantasy or a fiction. That might be nonfiction. Jane Harper, The Survivors. Again, another book of the month. Look at this. It literally gives me the year. January, I didn't even realize it was on here. January 2021. Oh my gosh. So all of these tell me November 2022. When was Bittersweet? April 2022. Guys, I've had these books for 3 years without reading them. That's crazy. This next one is May 2022. Darling Girl. I remember reading this summary on Book of the Month, and I was like, absolutely sign me up. Sounds great. It's a Peter Pan novel, but I think it's adult. So can't wait to read that. Comment down below if you would like me to make a short every time I finish one of these books and give you a quick summary and a rating, because that might be something I'd be interested in doing. Things We Do in the Dark. Again, another Book of the Month, June 2022. I'm sensing a theme here, Gabby. You buy books you don't have time to read, and then you put them on a shelf and you buy more books. Tell Me Everything, the story of a private investigation. Again, March 2022, Book of the Month. This is hysterical. These are all Book of the Month. Every Sweet Thing is Bitter, Samantha Cruzen. This one was April 2025, so that's probably my last book before I went on my RV trip, and then ended up moving from Florida to New York. All the Dangerous Things. This one looked good as well. There's one of these that I got from... Oh, it's over there. I'll get to it. There's one that I got from Book of the Month, and then now it's like circling around on TikTok. It's a super popular read. The Cartographers. This cover was super cool. I remember when I got it in the mail. Okay, Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I don't know why this is in here because I have not read it. But this was a secondhand shop. You can tell by the condition of the book. But everybody was talking about that book at some point. I remember seeing it all over. I travel for work a lot, so I saw it in the airports a lot. And I was like, obviously, it's a good book. Okay. The Inheritance of Orquídea Divina. Another Book of the Month. Nice cover. This is August of 2021. I've had this book for 4.5 years? Almost 5? What the heck, Gabby? What are we doing here? You know what it is I went through a phase where I stopped reading for a couple years, and then end of 2024, yeah, I picked it back up hard because somebody introduced me to A Court of Thorns and Roses, and that opened up all of Sarah J. Maas, and then that opened up, you know, Fourth Wing and all these super popular Quicksilver, all these super popular books on Book Talk. So I still held on to all of these books because I used to like reading. Into the Water. I don't know if I already held this one up, but I'm going to do it again. All right, this one's supposed to be sad, Where the Crawdads Sing. This was also a secondhand bookshop. I picked it up, similar to The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and I have another one coming up that you're going to be like, what, you haven't read it yet? There are some popular books out there that I have not read, and so I have them, and they're on my list. These next two are the beginning of the Witcher series, and I think there's like a ton of Witcher books. But last Christmas, we're not talking about Christmas 2025, which was a couple weeks ago. We're talking about Christmas 2024. My sister gifted me these, and I still haven't read them. So we have The Sword of Destiny and The Last Wish, because I did watch the Witcher series with my husband, and I got into it, and then there was a whole thing where he was like, we're not watching it from now on because what's-his-name left the show, and it's never going to be the same. And he left the show because they changed the plot and the storyline, and people that read the books are upset. And I was like, listen, as a reader, I'd rather read the books and know what happened before I go ahead and continue to watch the show. So I still haven't seen the new season of The Witcher with Liam Hemsworth. Is that who it is? I think. One of the Hemsworth guys. Okay, last pile, and then we're done. I cannot believe how many books are on this table. It's crazy. We're also running out of time because my camera is low on batteries. Don't judge me. I haven't read it. I have no idea how it ends. My husband even said, you don't know what Dear John means? Like somebody's Dear John? I was like, no, I have no idea, so don't spoil it for me. I started reading this. You can see my bookmark. And then Brimstone came out. So yeah, haven't finished this book because I picked up another book that had just been newly released. So I have to get back to it. Maybe even start it over again. I don't know. I kind of understand the two main characters a little bit now. I've read enough chapters into it, but nothing real has like happened. I'm also trying to figure out what's his deal with his dad. I'm like, that's weird. Okay. Twisted Love. These were also a book that I found on TikTok that everybody was obsessed with, and I think it's a series, so I want to be careful to read that maybe towards the end, because once I start it, then I'm going to want to consume the rest of it. I don't know how many books are in that series off the top of my head. This next one keeps staring at me from the bookcase, because the bookcase is right next to our dining table is where I'm sitting right now. Bow Before the Elf Queen. Again, another TikTok recommendation. I really love Book Talk, and thank you so much for all the people who post there, like your recommendations and favorites and things like that, because I can just go to Goodreads and add them to my to be read, my TBR. And it's great to go back to it because I will never remember to look back at these videos, and I'll never remember what those titles are if I don't have somewhere to keep them. So between Book Talk and Goodreads, I'm set. All right, last two. Famous Last Words. Again, these are more book of the month. One morning he's your husband, by nightfall he's a criminal, and these are his famous last words. This one's actually from February 2025, so at least those are closer to this year. Last one. This is also a book of the month, okay? This was book of the year 2024 winner, and it has a really gorgeous cover. This is The God of the Woods. And I have seen this all over TikTok, like recently. I actually have a girlfriend who I met through church, and she had posted this book recently saying how pretty the cover was. And I guess certain covers have it raised art. This one is not. This is like a paper-bound hardcover, and so there's no ridge here for this paint, but very interesting. That's my last book. I'll show you this pile right now. This is an absolutely wild pile of books. That is how many books I am aspiring to read in 2026 before I even move on to any other titles. And that's really hard for me because there are so many on my Goodreads, but I said no new books in 2026. And so to help me with that goal, I'm gonna stay busy with all of this stuff that I already have. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Comment down below some books that you are planning on reading in 2026. And if you're going to join me on a no-buy, low-buy year, don't forget to check out our video on our no spend for 2026. Till next time, I'll just be here organizing all the books that I've got to read in 2026. See ya.